presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hello, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, rain and snow with a low of 27, then Wednesday clearing with a high of 41. Step into Forts at Children's Theater Company. It's an interactive fort building adventure where theatrical elements and towering cardboard boxes spark shared creative play. Weekday availability during local spring breaks from March 17th through April 3rd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
Watching
welcome back to Native Roots Radio. Hey, thank you, everyone. We had a little glitch there, and people listening to me on YouTube and Facebook, thank you for holding on, and sorry about that. Just was saying that, we've been on Native Roots Radio, has been on the air this is our 10th season, and we are really, really happy to be on, and really grateful for Civic Media and AM 950 and all the other stations that play us. I just can't say enough. I really appreciate it. We started the show again. People on YouTube will hear this again. That we started the show where we were going to Standing Rock, and that was the big Dakota Access Pipeline fiasco that was running a pipeline right through the tribe's land and going across the Missouri River, and we did not want that to happen, and so we protested. And I guess too, one of the things that was interesting is that we'd watch the news. It either wasn't reported on, or if it was very vague. And I always loved talking about that story when we were in the midst of protesting, and that was that there was a local station here, St. Paul in Minneapolis, and the St. Paul Native American kids were coming and to meet in the middle of the bridge right over the Mississippi, and the Minneapolis kids, and there was over 1,000 people on each side. And going back and watching the news, I know there was over 3,000 people on that bridge protesting a Dakota Access Pipeline in the Dakotas. And one of the things that was very interesting is that the local news only videotaped half the crowd, and then they said hundreds of people were protesting. And so that's what we kind of deal with here, is this really subtle editing of the news here. And that's why it's so important to support stations like AM 950 and all the progressive stations out there. It's so important. And to bring out what's happening and talk about things that need to be talked about. We're going to have Gary Farmer on, I do believe, today, and Arvina Martin for sure. Gary's up north, and again, I was talking about the Ancestral Fire, the Minnesota tour, and Keith Sokola and Gary Farmer, and we'll be jamming here March 15th at Minneapolis, live at the Ice House, and the doors open at 3. Showtime is at 4, and we're going to try and talk to Gary a little bit about that up there, about that. He's up north right now. And maybe what we can do is just play a little of Gary's music and as a bumper here, and get some good feelings out there and some good vibes, and maybe Gary will show up. I know up north sometimes it's hard to get a signal, so maybe we can play a little. Here we go.
It's been a rugged road to say along the way, but we must keep our heads held high. Oh yeah. And don't you fear the future now? Oh no. It's a beautiful morning, oh yeah. Sweet like peaches, apple pie, wonderful day. I can't stop thinking about.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Age Jagwa Destiny Gowaweni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone, and welcome back. Thank you, everyone. A big Peeny Gigi. Thank you for your patience. Hey, I just want to say a big hoo. One of the things we like to report on a lot of things here. We got Arvina Martin coming on up next, and Gary, it seems like he is not getting any Wi-Fi up in the deep north of Minnesota, so maybe we can get him on later or another day. I just wanted to from the Native News Online, I just wanted to read this, and I thought this was really interesting. There's a new health data released last week that showed the life expectancy rates for American Indian and Alaskan Natives increased by 4.5 years, the largest increase among racial and ethnic groups, according to the new KFF analyst of minority rates from 2021 to 2023. American Indian and Alaskan Natives still have the lowest life expectancy of any racial group at just 70.1 years. That's 8 years less than white people and 15 years less than our Asian population, which our Asian relatives' average age is 85.2. Which is the highest life expectancy in the United States. Analyst points to several systematic factors driving the gap, including the lack of access to health care stemming from the chronically unfunded Indian Health Service and higher rates of uninsured Native people. It's an amazing thing. To be an elder, for my tribe, the Ho-Chunk tribe, you're an elder at 60 years old. And that's kind of ironic. I'm 64 right now. And that's because of being an elder back in the day. It was so, people didn't live as long as I am, as old as I am. And I just think that's the discrepancy out there. And again, I like how they put that the underfunded health service is in Indian health services and the higher rates of uninsured Native people, that has a lot to do with it. Hey, I want to bring our friend Arvina Martin on, and Arvina, you are a political consultant. Thanks you for jumping on a little early. Gary wasn't able to make it, I guess, and so I was mumbling to myself. So it's great to have you on. Thank you so much, Arvina, and great to see you as always.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad I was able to jump on early.
Yeah, me too, and I think our audience was too, or is too. So it's excellent. So how you been doing? How are you holding up? And it seems like, I don't know, the weeks are melting together, and it's just too much for me sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we are still in this state of overwhelm. The whole situation that's happening in Iran, and it feels like not right to call it a situation. We attacked a country, and unprovoked, and for reasons that have still not yet been made clear to the American people or to Congress. And that is, not only, I mean, like, I feel like any words that I try to use are not strong enough. Like, you can say it's disappointing, but it's more than that. And, the news that a girls' school was also hit, and this is a stain on us as a country that this has happened. All of those little girls who were just going to school that are now no longer with us. And I noticed that I saw a post that showed the front page of the daily newspaper that exists or is part of the Vatican. So, like, the Vatican's daily news. It was the only Western media source to use an image of the bodies, or the graves, because of those girls, and just showing that loss of life just is shattering, and to what ends. I know that there were a lot of Iranians that were excited about the death of the Ayatollah, and very hopeful for changes that it could be could happen, and potential for their freedom, only to have his son be named the next leader. And we don't, I mean, I can't imagine that he's going to stray too much from his father's point of view, or his father's ways, so to speak. And so we just killed those little girls and countless other people for nothing. A regime change that is going back to the same kind of leader. It's and service members are being, we've had at least 8. I did see something today about over 100 folks that have been, or of our service members who have been wounded, maybe like 80 or so gravely. And they're telling us to prepare for a draft.
Yeah. And this is just a crazy thing because of one person wanting to do this, and that what is really bizarre is that there are a small percentage of people that really like this. And with the first Gulf War, I don't know if you remember this, but I'm a child that was brought up during Vietnam, and we had the Vietnam War on every night on the news, and talking about how many Americans were killed and how many Viet Cong were killed. And it was like a total bizarre upside down world. And I was like, we went through that and all those protests, and I thought everybody in this country felt like war is not good. War is not good. And then the first Gulf War, people were like, I know we want to support the troops, and a lot better than they did during the Vietnam era, for sure. But I was in shock how people were like for this. And it seems like there's a small percentage now that is really for this too, but we have no idea what we're doing and why we're there. And they contradict each other. President says one thing, and then, the Department of War says another thing. And it's just,
Marco Rubio will say yet another. And, you're right. I mean, I support our service members, and I support them in the sense that I don't want us to send them in harm's way for specious reasons, or for, reasons that are not for, the liberation or for the good of the people that are there. We have to, these are human beings. These are our fellow Americans' lives. And we need to make sure that if we are putting them in harm's way, that there is a good reason, like saying, our homeland, like the US is actually under attack, or something like that. But this is the same, the same guy told us last June that they obliterated, and I'm sure folks have seen the clips where he uses the word obliterated over and over again to talk about what happened to Iran's nuclear program, and to say, well, they're just weeks away from getting us. Like, it doesn't add up, either you didn't obliterate it the first time, or this is not the eminent concern that you're saying it is.
Well, I know Native Americans per capita are the highest percentage people that are in the services, and I got to really put tobacco out for our relatives, because I've met few in the last few conflicts that do have a lot of issues, whether they're health issues or post-traumatic syndrome, and that's a real thing, and we have to really pay attention to that and to our relatives.
Absolutely. I mean, we as a country are doing a terrible job supporting those who have served and fulfilling their needs that have been caused directly by their service, and have historically done a terrible job, and we're not doing a good job now. We hear of people that have long waits at the VA, or that can't get the care that they need, and so so many turn to other ways of coping that are not healthy, and that is a failure on like, it's a stain on our nation that we are not, again, I care about our service members. I want them to be whole, and I want them to be, be in a good mental space as much as possible. And we are not helping with that at all.
No, we're not. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Demeny from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org. Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Agay Jagwa Desnigowaweni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, rain and snow with a low of 27, then Wednesday clearing with a high of 41. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities, but don't miss out on the chicken, fish, brisket, Philly steak, and more. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit mavericksbeef.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone, and thanks for your patience. We are here with Arvina Martin, our political consultant here, and we have a lot to talk about. I'm curious, and who looks good for what running for governor in Wisconsin right now? Who are we pushing for, and who can we get as a guest here on Native Roots Radio?
Actually, the field is fairly wide open at this point. Like it's early in the race. The primary isn't until August, so candidates are out there working. I've seen a lot from Senator Kelda Roys and State Rep Francesca Hong, as well as Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, and former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. Those are the ones that I have been seeing, and they've really been hustling. I think you should get all of them on. Honestly, this should be a stop on their campaign trail and on the road to getting the Democratic nomination for governor of Wisconsin. In my opinion.
No, that's good, and we definitely will start reaching out. I know things are heating up here. We have a ways to go, but we have to stay really on top of things and with what's happening, because there's so much other things thrown at us. And I don't know, if I was running for president or anything, I would almost want to have somebody in Washington should have a press conference every day to disavow everything that this orange one and these people are saying and fight back, because frankly, our mainstream media is not doing it.
I mean, you're right, and a lot of it is getting messier because of these mergers for big media companies. We are seeing CBS News basically be neutered. So they're not, and 60 Minutes, which has been
Oh my
a
God.
truth teller historically. And ABC has had run-ins, so they're not really pushing. What I have seen is stuff is reporting from NPR, because now they don't get any funding from the government and it's all private donations. So they don't have to worry about what he thinks in the same sense that those other media companies worry. And they're the ones that broke the story, I believe, about the claim of a woman who claimed that she was sexually assaulted by the president when she was 13. And I've seen that they haven't verified or anything like that, the actual assault, but that she sounds credible, and other news organizations have looked into her story and found consistencies, and the things that she's been talking about, going to, I think it was Hilton Head, the timing that she was there was the same as the timing that Epstein was there, and there was news that the president was there, and a lot of these other things that are not directly related to the assault have been confirmed. And I think that we need to keep making noise about that, because that's part of that. You can't tell me that this isn't part of the reason why we are having military actions in Iran.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to mention too is that the FBI called her back 3 or 4 times. The FBI does not do that if you're not credible and things don't match up. They've just put it under the rug because of the Department of Revenge or Justice has said so, and it's just so. I hope the heck these people go to jail. My goodness. I just, all I have to say, and things are different, of course, from when Nixon was resigned, but Nixon didn't go to prison. His attorney general sure the heck did, though. And I want to keep on saying that over and over again.
Well, and I think we are going to see something. I mean, now that Kristi Noem is no longer the Secretary of Health I'm sorry, wrong department, Secretary of Homeland Security, they're not going to protect her anymore. When all of this is said and done, Pam Bondi is not going to have any protection.
Right.
Kash Patel will be thrown out, and left to his own devices. And what has he been doing, besides flying himself and his girlfriend all over the country and going to sporting events and spraying beer with Olympic champions, while there are serious things happening that the director of the FBI should be paying attention to actively. And he just wants to party.
Yeah, well, let's go back to Kristi Noem for a second. The only reason why he removed her is because she lied about him okaying that 200 million. It's not for the murders here in Minneapolis or anything like that. It's about his ego.
Oh, absolutely. And once they start making him look bad, that's when they go. And part of me thinks that Kash Patel will be next, because he's just going crazy, doing whatever he wants. And Pam Bondi is going to be in trouble too. And I just hope that we are able to get to the place again where we can find justice for these women who dealt with the most traumatic experiences while they were children. I heard Pam Bondi say, well, that woman isn't credible. She's got all of these crimes in her background. she was sexually assaulted at the age of 13, like we cannot be surprised that and her attacker not only has never been brought to justice, but is the president of the United States. I mean, I can't imagine the trauma associated with all of that. It's just so overwhelming,
Yeah, it really is, but we really have to push forward because darn it, Arvina, really, it's daunting. It's like when I do watch the news and especially mainstream news, I'm just going, "Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, here's the weather. Okay, a plane crash. Okay, a house on fire," and then back to political. Oh my god, and I keep on thinking of you too about the Golden Girls. I know we joke about that, but we do need a break. Geez.
Absolutely. And even the weather is not safe because he's canceled so many of these weather stations
Yes.
and so our weather reports are not good anymore. They're a lot more guessing and prognostication than actual science. And then people are surprised and say, "Oh our weatherman sucks." No, they're just not getting the same data, and that puts people in danger as well. But you're absolutely right. We need to be able to find these things to like let ourselves decompress even a tiny bit so that we can continue to fight the next day. And that is a lot harder when you are going through things like Minneapolis and Minnesota have been going through, or Chicago or Portland. But you have to figure out how to take care of yourself in these times. And even if it's just walking around the block for a minute, getting outside in nature for just like a half hour to like let yourself, your nervous system calm down, and so you can function. And this is not to deny that everything that is happening is extremely stressful. And we have to acknowledge that and know that this is just where we are. It's not going away anytime soon. And it's terrifying too to think about what he will try to do to take over the elections, which are basically, help us Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's our only hope kind of situation. And we just have to hope that if he tries, that the Supreme Court doesn't let him. We have to be ready, and we have to be willing to do things that are potentially scary and put ourselves in situations that are maybe uncomfortable, because especially for a lot of other Americans, they are a lot more scared, and the consequences are such, the potential for these consequences are so much higher for certain populations in our country. And we know that as Native people, we know that certain communities, particularly Black and Brown communities, women, LGBTQ, especially the trans folks, are facing way more terrible things, and we need, and when we have a bit of privilege, we need to use that to help uplift their stories, make sure people know what's happening, spread the word, go out and canvass, and for our spring election, go out and canvass for Chris Taylor here in Wisconsin. And your favored local candidates. A lot of things happen at the local level too, and making sure that we are electing people there that represent our values. We have to pay attention, because that's how we got sanctuary cities. And we need to pay attention to those things. And it sometimes it's uncomfortable, but the uncomfortableness is going to be way less than the uncomfortableness that we will face, all of us, if we don't.
Well, I know Minnesota here and a lot of the Native groups that are bipartisan are going to really help people go to vote. And at the very least, there's going to be ICE agents trying to intimidate people during this. So we have to stay vigilant and keep talking about it, which I really appreciate you being on and talking about it. Let's talk a little bit next segment about what you do and how people that need your support can, get your services, and talk a little bit more about that. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, and this is Native Roots Radio.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Hey, we are so excited to have our friend, actor, musician, and frontman of the Gary Farmer and the TroubleMakers. Gary Farmer is here to talk about, we got an upcoming Ancestral Fire concert here in the Minnesota tour. Gary, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're so busy up there, up north, pleasing your fans. Thank you so much, and thanks for being on Native Roots Radio.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Robert. Good to see you again.
Hey, our friend Arvina Martin, our political consultant, is on here too with us, and we've been just talking politics. So it's probably a good time right now to talk about what, the show at the Ice House and what you have upcoming. And also, there's something really important too, a call to action about. We just listened into your song in the first segment and talk about voting for your song and the Indigenous network thing. If we can talk about those couple things, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know if you know, Robert, but I helped to establish a national radio system in Canada several years ago called Aboriginal Voices Radio. And there were some established radio stations in northern Canada. It used to be called the Native American Communications Society. And all the northern communities north of the 60th parallel, for the most part, had, radio, FM, and right across the whole nation. So there was a number of communication societies like Wawate, for instance, which was always in Anishinaabe language right from the start. And, we in the South, like where my community is in Ontario, we never had any of that you know, ability to get on the air, so we had to do it on our own. And I used to pressure the North to come and help us because we were having trouble with our retaining our languages as well. Like we got 6 languages and our 7 with Anishinaabe right next to us. But you know, it was very challenging to get some broadcasting power in our day in Canada. But I did manage to get 70% of Canada, but radio. But I didn't have enough. It's an amazing story anyway. But I've been around public radio for many years and spent years developing this national radio system.
Well, we appreciate you talking about that, and I'll have to have you on the show again and talk specifically about that. But I really would love it if you could talk about the concert that you're coming up on and talk about how people can vote too for your song. Now it's in 6th place in the top 100 and Indigenous music, and talk about that a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, so they were one of the system right there in downtown Winnipeg, and they have this indigenousmusiccountdown.com. Now, I'm seeing a lot more American artists starting to, you know, involve themselves in this countdown because it's very viable. If you get to the top 5, I believe you get as a musician, you get airplay on Sirius Radio. Then you start making a lot of money on your art, you know, because you're getting airplay, and it does count on your, you know, you start to get some feedback in terms of dollars for your music. So it's really interesting over the years, and I don't think a lot of, you know, Minnesota artists know about it. They certainly can. Native American artists, the tribal artists can submit their music, you know, and then, you know, it's really fascinating. There's a lot of great players on there, so it's really interesting to listen to the competition. It gives you a sense of, you know, what's going on in the Indigenous world as far as music goes, and it's, you know, very complimentary to taking those tracks and running with them, and especially for someone like yourself who do play tunes from time to time. I know it's primarily a spoken word program, right, Robert?
Yeah, definitely. But I want to say indigenousmusiccountdown.com. Vote for Gary and the TroubleMakers there, and take a listen to his song. We the first segment we did play some of it, and your voice is sounding really good.
Yeah, thank you. It's maturing with my age.
Hey, Arvina, do you have a question for Gary?
Arvina. Yes.
Arvina, yes. I guess I am wondering about I guess your thoughts about the developing talent in Indian country, especially about you know, the wide variety of styles that especially young Native musicians are participating in, because it's, you know, it's not just kind of folk music or things that we might think of when we think of Indigenous popular music. You know, it's hip hop, and it is soul, and I just would like to hear your thoughts on like how this is expanding, and how we can keep expanding and get more Native youth interested in making music that is culturally relevant, but also resonates with the population at large.
Well, this is exactly how this is exactly how to do it, is this Indigenous Top 40, right? Now, you guys as broadcasters, of course, can pick and choose and see, oh, look at that guy's number 5. Let's pull that song in, and then invite the artist to, you know, communicate with you guys. And that's what we need more and more of here in the States. I mean, I don't know how many, you know, low power FM stations we got. Maybe it's around 40 now. And then, of course, there's a lot of, you know, broadcasting like Native Roots Radio, of course, along with commercial broadcasting, right? So, you know, that's the beauty of the Indigenous Music Countdown, because any artist that's aware of it, and, you know, we're all just working from our pocketbooks for the most part. None of us aren't backed by record company. It's almost passé now because of all the streaming options for an artist. So it takes some time to finagle the process, but I you know, I'm impressed that, you know, a 70-year-old artist is being able to compete with the young ones, because every genre is on that top 40. You name it, it's there. And there's a special interest, especially in central Canada, with country music. So all of a sudden you come across a truck that's this, a track that's just straight up country, and it's pretty fascinating to listen to the wide variety of the Indigenous music countdown that's actually competing. Yeah.
Wow, that's a great answer. You're going to be playing with Keith Secola on March 15th at the Minneapolis Ice House at 3 p.m. at the and the door showtime's $20 in advance, $27 on the day. I'm excited to see you both. Both are icons, but also, like you said, putting together relevant music to right now, 2026.
Yeah, I've been writing a lot of music because I'm trying to produce my 8th album, and I'm actually going to put it on vinyl this time, first time. And I collect vinyl for years. I especially chased down a lot of Native artists in the 70s and the 80s. I was chasing Native music back then, and so that was fascinating. And then Brian Wright McLeod did publish a book on all the artists that are Indigenous that we could research at the time. And I just see there's a new book coming out about Indigenous music and the artists that are participating. So, we're looking forward to the Ice House. Great venue in Minneapolis. I just love that place. It's and it's kind of a nonprofit hall, which is really interesting. So they made us a fair deal. They're very fair with the players, and that's not always the case in the big world. So we're really looking forward to that show. We have a wonderful band backing us up. A lot of players that usually play with David Huckfeld there in town. He offered his rhythm section for us, and Liz Draper's on bass. And I brought my guitar player from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Mr. Jamie Bird Yellowhorse, Navajo Pueblo artist who's been with me for about 20 years. So we'll be in good shape by the time we get to y'all down there in Minneapolis.
Right on, March 15th, live at the Ice House. Gary, Arvina, Big Peeny Gigi, thank you so much for being on Native Roots Radio, and we'll talk to you really, really soon.
Okay.
With wonders in our heart, working through the troubles in our day. I'm so curious how daily life is going, since I've been tied up in a knot.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space at